I've been flying commercial aircraft for nearly 40 years. I'm now captain on a Boeing 737. I think most people, when they think about pilots, think about highly skilled bus drivers. And we are, but a little bit more. And there are more rules and regulations than there are for bus drivers. Where's the creativity in flying? After all, we're bound by civil aviation regulations, operating procedures from the makers of whatever aircraft we're flying. So Boeing tells us what the plane can, can't do, and up to a point how to do it. We have company requirements and rules, standard operating procedures, which are different for each company. Together, these rules and regulations cover almost every situation that we're likely to encounter. We have to do simulator training every 6 months, so we're trained in how to react to most emergencies. There are set procedures for what we do in the case of an engine failure, for example. And we've drilled ourselves so much that our physical and mental reactions are automatic. We shouldn't have to think about it. Most people would probably consider that the actions of the captain who landed on the Hudson River without any harm to these passengers. But he reacted as he should have. The alternative was crashing into buildings in New York City. So the river was the only real option. Of course, he did the landing on water really, really well. But his reactions were not creative. Because our physical and mental processes are so well honed, the creativity in my job comes mostly in terms of human interactions, issues with crew and passengers. If you have a problem, you have to think first of the passengers and then the crew's ability to deal with the problem or an emergency. I was doing a trip from Brisbane to New Zealand a few years back. The cabin supervisor came into the cockpit shortly after the passengers had been boarded. She noticed a young woman who looked seriously emaciated and asked if she was all right. The woman explained that she'd been on holiday at the Gold Coast and she was going home to die. The supervisor asked me if we could offload her, as she didn't want a passenger to die in flight. It would distress other passengers, crew. You have to think how they would move a body if it was required, where would they put her if she died, and the inevitable investigations and paperwork that would follow. An aircraft with a crew of more than one is not a democracy. While the captain has final authority and responsibility for the actions taken on board, the captain always considers input from other crew members who have a stake in an issue. He listened to the supervisor's argument and considered how the crew would feel. I figured that this was a human issue that needed sensitive and compassionate approach. I had to persuade the cabin supervisor that it was kinder and more appropriate to let the woman stay on board. If she was going home to die, we needed to provide her transport. If she died on board, we would deal with it as best we could. And I started thinking about what we would do, practically speaking. I guess it doesn't sound really creative, but I think making these sorts of decisions about passengers and crew is a form of creativity. We're technical experts. We have the training to deal with aircraft emergencies, but we have choices sometimes in how we deal with human problems.
Dad.